Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing Superman, Batman, Enemies Among Us. Take a look at this comic cover right here. Now, Superman, Batman is one of my most loved team-up comics, and I've already reviewed the first 4 volumes in the series, but that was a long time ago in a galaxy far away. It's been quite some time since I've actually reviewed a Superman, Batman comic. Now, a lot of people think it's because that I've dropped the title, but that's not the case. No, I continuously pick up the Superman Batman trades whenever they come out. Actually, a new one's coming out next week from the time that this is being recorded. At least I think it is. So with that said, I love the Superman Batman series for ill and for good, whether it's good or bad. With that said, a lot of people have asked me to start reviewing the Superman Batman series once again. They've been wondering why I haven't been reviewing it. Well, I haven't been reviewing the Superman Batman series because, well, there's just been a lot of other stuff out there that I've had to review that have come before the Superman Batman series. So it kind of gets put on the back burner. But seeing a lot of people have asked me to start reviewing again, and seeing I'm a man of the people, I will fulfill your wishes and start reviewing or continue reviewing the Superman Batman series. And the last place we left off on was Enemies Among Us. So let's jump into this story right here. Now, Enemies Among Us is an important story for Superman Batman, not necessarily for the content, no. This is an important story because it's the first Superman Batman volume that is not written by Jeph Loeb. Now, Jeph Loeb, whether you hate him or you love him, and trust me, there's a lot of people out there that hate him and love him, you can't deny the fact that Jeph Loeb has been very successful with the Superman Batman comic. The first 3 volumes were just absolutely fantastic, enjoyable reads, and great content. The 4th volume wasn't good at all, but I let that slide a little because, well, his son was dying at that time, so, you know, obviously stuff was going on outside of the writing process there. But see, this is an important volume because it is the first story that Jeph Loeb is not writing on the Superman Batman title, and it also starts the rotation of writers on this title. So this story needs to show that it can stand up on its own without the familiar writing of Jeph Loeb. Whether or not it does that, well, we're going to see. Now, the story starts off with Batman in the Batcave, and his good old friend John Jones, the Martian Manhunter, comes out and wants to greet Batman with a big punch to his face. Yes, Martian Manhunter has gone a little loopy. He probably had a little too much death sticks from the Star Wars movies. So he starts beating the shit out of Batman, but of course this is Batman, and he can outsmart anyone, even the Martian Manhunter, and he finds a way to stop John Jones. After this random attack by his friend, he goes out and asks for the assistance of Superman to solve this mystery. Why he needs Superman's help, I don't know. Other than a bodyguard, Superman probably wouldn't provide any more input that Batman wouldn't be able to think on his own, because he is the Batman. But, whatever, I'll roll with it. Batman asks for Superman's help, and the two start working together. But while they're working together, a bunch of random old villains and enemies from their past start randomly showing up and randomly disappearing. Like, I mean, the most random supervillains, like the Kryptonian Caveman or Tantor the Giant Ape, and just all over the place they start showing up and attacking Superman and Batman. At the same time, everyone that has off-world powers or are aliens are starting getting a little kooky too. Supergirl, Green Lantern, Hawkgirl and Hawkman, name them, they're starting to get a little loopy. At the same time, Superman is falling into this process. He's starting to get a little loopy too and crazy and losing his head. Batman needs to team up with Plastic Man to get an artifact or item from the Fortress of Solitude to help stop Superman from going crazy. But what happens when that artifact starts taking over Batman and he starts going crazy? Wow! A lot of people are going crazy here, including me. The basic story is these two need to work together to find out what exactly is screwing with all the aliens and why are exactly all these supervillains and old enemies are showing up from the past. Can they succeed, or will they destroy themselves in the process? Well, I'm not gonna lie, they're not gonna destroy themselves in the process because it's Superman and Batman. So let's get into the good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Good. Well, the art for the most part is good in here. There are a few parts where the art is a little blah and squiggly and messy, but for the most part the art is nice and it really adds to the comic. The one complaint I do have out of all of them is just how Batman's cape is portrayed. I know a lot of people like it looking like an actual wing, but they went a little too far with it in this story. But other than that, the art is pretty nice. Particularly the last chapter, when the big villain is revealed. I like the art in that. The concept of the story actually opens up a lot of possibilities for old enemies coming back, which isn't a bad idea, but it doesn't quite work out the way it should. It is nice and refreshing to see a lot of these old villains, a lot of them being Silver Age villains, coming back to take on the dynamic duo. You know, Batman is a young and naive sidekick Superman, but it really kind of gets a lot of messy, and I'll get into that a little bit later when I get into bad. But the concept isn't that bad. Not that bad. And you get to see a who's who of the DC Universe, so there's no shortage of guest stars here. Bad. Well, let's start off with bad. Going back to what I said before, there's a lot of old enemies that show up here. And it starts to get a little overbearing, and it starts to get a lot confusing, because, like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? What the fuck are you doing here? In addition to that, well, people are just acting so weird, and everything is just so random. Now, I can understand the concept of the book is everything is kind of random, but it's just too random. Particularly the Hal Jordan part. It's been a while since I've actually read this story, but I remember it was just saying, why are you guys here? You have no point to the plot at all. Other than the fact that it starts making Superman doubt himself as, well, who he is. It really doesn't serve anything, and there's a lot of stuff in this book that really doesn't serve the plot at all. So that is definitely a bad. The ending comes out of nowhere. It's like they have all this build-up that is actually pretty good build-up. You're really wondering what's going on, and then it just gets all revealed in the last chapter. It's not even revealed that well. It's kind of a cop-out of an ending. I really didn't like the ending at all, and I really wish they actually did a little bit more with the story. Polished it up and gave it a satisfying ending that was probably more than just one issue long. Plus, although I said the art was good, it's not consistent. There's so many different artists on this book that it tends to be annoying. You go from very realistic art to kind of cartoonishy art to squiggly art. It's a lot of different art, and the lack of consistency really can hurt the reader. I don't know whether or not you should get it. Well, I actually decided to go and read the back of the book and get the thoughts on the artists and the writers on exactly what they were trying to do with this book. And the writer said that what he was trying to do is bring the Silver Age back to the modern continuity, along with a lot of its different enemies. He said that the Silver Age was so enjoyable because anything could happen at any time, and it really added a nice element to the stories. And in saying that, I agree. The Silver Age was fun. It's kind of a guilty pleasure. And the fact that a lot of randomness could happen, and superheroes have to actually figure out how to deal with this randomness, is pretty cool. But that was the Silver Age. This is not the Silver Age. The Silver Age had so many different elements backing up that randomness that made it logical and made it fun. Particularly the campiness. When things are campy, it makes things easier to accept. When you have something like the modern age, which is a lot more serious, and you have all these random people showing up, it's just really annoying and confusing, and it doesn't help the reader at all. I give credit where credit's due in the fact that he's tried to do something different, but reliving the past isn't really helping the present. Doing something like that is not going to help the book. It really hurts the book. The concept of the story is nice. Yeah, a lot of people going crazy that are aliens, and a few enemies showing up in here and there is good, but having no explanation and having randomness just show up out of nowhere just tends to be a little overboard, and it hurts the comic. So whether or not you should get it, no, you shouldn't. It's not necessary to the DC Universe. It's not necessary to the Batman-Superman universe. It's not necessary, period. Is it the worst of the Batman-Superman series? No, I still hold that to be true. It's Vengeance. Vengeance was just bad. Just bad. Again, I understand Jeff Loeb's son was dying at the time, but it was bad. But this is probably the second worst. It's a little bit of an improvement over what we had beforehand. If you look at the Superman-Batman series, it starts to steady incline. Public Enemies was good, Supergirl was good, and then we balanced out with Falling 3, with Absolute Power, which is good. And then we have a huge dip down with Vengeance. And we slowly start to get back up with Enemies Among Us. Keyword is slowly. It was a real slow progression. You'll find with some of the latest Superman Batman stories that they try to reclaim the splendor and the glamour that came with the original volumes. But it's a slow increase, and the stories do get better. This is probably where the low point in the series is. But really, it is a low point. I do not recommend picking this up. However, if you're someone like me that needs to collect every single trade from some kind of series, and you do want to get this, despite my recommendation to avoid it, I recommend picking it up on trade, and I recommend trying to get it online for cheap. This book is not worth the, $19 that I paid for it in hardcover. I only paid for it in hardcover because that's all that was out at the time, so it was not put out in trade. But on a whole, I recommend avoiding Superman, Batman, Enemies Among Us. Improvement over Vengeance, but an improvement doesn't mean that it is good. So with that said, this is Andrew saying, peace out for now.